Hey guys, it's Abby with MotorCityNerds. I'm thinking about changing the name. I don't know yet, but we'll get to that. Anyway, I didn't want to disappoint. I didn't want to not do a House of the Dragon finale review. So let's just get right into it. I know it's late, but I wanted to do it correctly, and things have been kind of rough lately. But anyway, let's get into this. This was a travesty. All of this was, I don't know who made these choices for this finale. Because this really picked up at episode 4, and then I don't even know what to say, because for the last 3 years online, almost 4 now, every video I talked about prior to House of the Dragon coming on was, this needs to be concise and short and done correctly. They'd be better off doing it in 2 or 3 seasons max, giving us 6 or 7 really good episodes each. I don't know who made these choices. I can just read my notes directly for you. Okay, it starts out with, the shit in the East is dumb. So we're going to just put all that into one thing, because we go back to it like 4 times in the episode, and it's always boring. The Lannisters over recruiting people in the East over in Essos because they really have beef with Corlys and them, because they do the trade routes on the water, and he stops that, so they got mad beef, and he's recruiting people over in the East. All of that I felt like was just dumb and trying to be funny, and it wasn't. It just came off like it was trying too hard, but whatever. I'll read you guys my notes verbatim. The shit in the East is dumb. They hate Corlys. Lannister mud wrestle. Stupid. Shock value. Those are my notes about the East. All you need to know, if you're new here, because I break everything down for every level fan, is that they went and got, kind of like when Cersei gets the Golden Company, or Daenerys with the Unsullied, they're over there, and they're like, hey, do you want to come and mess up these people that have really been screwing up your trade routes and making you not get money? And that's all that needed to be. We did not need to go back 4 times. Then we get to this part, Aegon and Fuck-Up-Foot, Larys Strong, where they're really trying to make me feel for him, and I told you guys, he's going to end up like Harvey Dent. He's all jacked up, he's burned, he's all messed up for the rest of his life, he's kind of becomes like a heroin addict a little bit, he's on Milk of the Poppy all the time. My notes for that are, Aegon and Fuck-Up-Foot, who cares? This is another one we cut back to 17 times, and every time we're doing less and less, and this is, you're taking away from this character who's cool, which is Rhaena, getting her dragon, up in the Eyrie, running around in the wild, and we just keep going back to her walking around in the wild. There's a lot of walking, there's a lot of candles, and there's a lot of pointless talking. All you truly need to know is that everybody is in fear of Aemond, One Eye, and he's sitting the throne, and he's really calling the shots, and everybody's in fear, and he's burning up all these castles. Do you want to know why we don't care about the places they're talking about? Because we've never seen them. Do you want to know why we cared about them in Game of Thrones? Because we saw these places, we saw these families, we saw these people. That is where this had it together in the first season, and not so much in this. House of the Dragon is an internal story that is very intimate. Game of Thrones was this big sprawling thing, so we went all over the place. Now they're trying to horseshoe that in a little bit, but that's not their strong suit here, and it's struggling. But that's all you need to know, is that Aemond is ruling with an iron fist. He's scaring everybody. Aegon is afraid. Everybody's afraid they're going to get killed. They know he's crazy, and he's burning every castle, little castles down and messing with people, and people are getting upset. But nobody can tell him to stop because they're all afraid of him. Now, there is some stuff we're going to get into that I really liked. None of it is this. Here we go. I have Rhaena, ... Aemond is burning everything, but we don't care. We don't care because we don't know these people. We don't know these castles. We never got to know them. So the audience is going, okay, who cares? Oh, Jace is still yelling at everybody. He's still having his identity crisis. All of his acting is impeccable, by the way. They're really killing it. Specifically, Corlys and Adam's scene was really good. I'll get into stuff, but Jace is killing. All these actors are doing great. Yeah, but Jace is yelling at everybody still. He's yelling at all the bastards. If you're not picking up on things, Ulf is kind of a scumbag. Hugh the Hammer, you're kind of going to like. I don't want to get into spoiler territory. Dreads, Alan, he's cool. He stays cool. The other ones, you can tell they're kind of getting us to kind of not trust them a bit. But you also have to remember that she killed like a ton of people. Well, she didn't, but the dragon killed a ton of people right in front of them. So they might be like, we're not really down with this. Like, you might be playing up how great you are to others, and they might see your greatness, but all we saw was violence and death. Yeah, there's a vibe. But Jace is letting everybody know that he does not like them, that he has beef with it, and I really liked him and Baela talking later in the episode, and she's like, stop pouting, stop acting like this, and that's what I keep waiting for somebody to really say to him, is just how Cersei said it to Joffrey. When you sit on the throne, the truth will be what you make it. We don't give a shit who your parents are. We don't give a shit if a wolf didn't really attack you with Arya. We're going to make it seem however we want, because you are the heir. You are going to sit the Iron Throne. The truth will be what you make it. But I also get we want to have a different vibe for these characters. We don't want to dislike Jace or hate Jace like we did Joffrey. So you have to go about it differently. But I'm waiting for somebody to just outright say that hardcore to him. Rhaenyra has tried, and I feel like we're dilly-dallying with this a bit. But yeah, it makes sense for him to be going, I'm kind of struggling with this. Nobody before in history has been given a dragon like this or anything like. So now he's like, you're a threat to me. You're a threat to what I'm supposed to inherit. And I'm sure he just feels like a teenage boy struggling too. Rhaenyra and Corlys talk all about stuff, and it's like, let's just get... The whole episode, we were trying to figure out if Daemon is going to take over that army and for himself, or really see that Rhaenyra is the one to be fighting for. And Corlys and her go into that. They go into a whole bunch of stuff. Then they're talking because that's her hand to the queen. And I love that. And their scenes are good together. The big main takeaways in this conversation for me were bringing up Daeron again, which I don't know why they're just shoehorning him in the way they are. I think people are going to struggle there. But like I said, I have 20 videos talking about why everything that has gone viral about this, about the names, people not being able to keep up with certain things, the average viewer, I have talked about in length. So just dropping another son on everybody, Alicent's other kid, is, I can see people going, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. But he tells her that he's coming. Shouted that later in the episode, which was cool, but nothing. And then we hear about Helena's dragon. Now, we all love Helena, but she's another one acting like a total dumbass here. And I'm like, why are these people so stupid? But I did like the way they explained her dragon real quick, to the point, correctly. Rhaenyra says to Corlys, what about Dreamfire? Oh, it's one of the oldest, most ancient. It's a formidable big dragon. And we get through that in 2 sentences. Here are my notes for this. How do they do such a good job explaining things basic like the dragon Dreamfire and then drop the ball on everything else that's huge? Feel like they were trying to pad this out, I'll be honest. Another big drop is the Greyjoys. I've talked about this on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram. The Greyjoys do get involved, but not in the way you kind of think. That's Theon's family, the ones that are like Viking-like. So we have Corlys. He's got a really big fleet of ships. Who else would have a really big fleet of ships? The Iron Fleet, the Greyjoys. So eventually, Alicent's side goes, hey, we want you to come fight for us, and just, or like chill and block things off, but come on our side. And then Rhaenyra's side is like, actually, we just will let you reave, raid, and rape, like that's your culture, all along the coast of our enemy, like the Lannisters area right now, and all of that, as long as you just don't get involved in the bullshit. Like, just don't come down here, don't get involved, just go do your thing, and don't take a side. That ends up causing a lot of issues, and there's a very cool character. I say this all the time, it's a young man's war. We have Cregan Stark, we have Jace, we have so many young, Aemond, we have, but there's the Red Kraken, and he's a really cool character. I won't get into that, but Corlys bringing them up at all in conversation is a big deal. I like his new boat. I like that it's named after Rhaenys. That was all cute. I really enjoyed that. Sir Strong with Daemon, he really is the best. He's the best. I love him. Now, here's where we're going to get into stuff. Some stuff I liked, some stuff I didn't. They're talking a lot in front of werewoods. And if you watch my reviews from last season, I talked all about how in the books, the werewoods are torn out in the South. And I have talked about in length in other videos about what I think of seeing through trees and stuff, because to me, that kind of does sound like a spy. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But we're doing a lot of conversations and a lot of big historical events in front of werewood trees. And now we know for sure yes, somebody's watching. Not only is somebody watching, my favorite Targaryen, one of, in my top 5, is watching. But prior to Daemon's visions and all of that, they really hit it home when the guy he's talking to, who came to go like, what are we going to do, Daemon? And your wife is acting a fool and blah, blah, blah. They walk out there and Daemon says something like, oh, this place will drive you crazy, because he's turning around going, did you hear that? That's a nod to the guy in the tree, the three-eyed raven, Blood Raven. He watches you with 1,000 eyes in one. But yes, the three-eyed raven is watching them in that moment. Here's why I say Helena's being dumb. And it's not that I dislike this character. I really like this character. I think we all do. But when her and Alicent are talking, and she's like, but we didn't cause nothing. But we didn't do nothing. I'm like, Alicent does that same thing when prior she was not behaving that way. But Helena, it's not that you have to be like totally politically savvy, but you're trying to tell me that this person raised in the Red Keep around all the bullshit can't pick up on more, or are they, I'm like, you're making her come off dumb. And she's like, but why would they be mad at us? Oh my God. Like, why do you think? Like, she can still be innocent and be like, I can't believe they're mad at us, and I can't believe they dislike us because we would never cause this, but this is the shitty part about being in the royal family. You don't have to make her go, oh, I'm so naive and dumb. Because I feel like they're kind of making her an invalid. And I don't like that, because her other scenes in this are my favorite part. Or they need to have a line of dialogue that says, like, she's just so, that's all they need to have her say, is like, she's so up in the clouds and so out there, like they think she's crazy or something, but really we know she's getting visions and things like that. But if they just had a line of dialogue saying, oh, well, you know, she's just such a scatterbrain all the time. She's just out there. She's never paid it. That's all they have to say. She's never paid attention to politics. She's never paid attention to nothing. But they haven't directly said that. And in film and TV, that art form, all we can go off of as viewers is what we see and what we hear. We can't just go, we think everybody has this information from books and stuff. That's not how it works. So in that scene, Aemond comes in, and maybe they just wanted to come off way more innocent. I don't know. They could have done this better, but Aemond comes in, grips her up. He's like, you're going to take your dragon. You're going to go fight. And she's like, I won't do that. And I really loved their back and forth. I loved all of that. That was great. So he's trying to force her into this war, and she's not having it. Then we have Alicent going and saying to that bitch-ass maester. Now, remember, I don't trust none of the maesters. There are very few I trust, and they're normally in the north, and they're from Game of Thrones. Maesters, the gray robe rats, I don't trust them. But Alicent's like, oh, I need you to do something for me. It needs discretion. And it's getting to Dragonstone to see Rhaenyra later in the episode. But I'm like, that's going to come back to bite you in the ass. That guy is super buddies with snitching because he's a dirty, filthy maester. And then we get to Kristen Cole and Alicent's bro out in the woods, recruiting and making the military bigger. And like I've been saying, I think everybody kind of knows that Kristen Cole and Alicent are banging. And the brother calls him on that with his sword to his face and is like, you're banging my sister, but everybody's around to hear it. So that's a choice. And I'm like, okay, so everybody, this is common knowledge. And I kind of felt that way more so because like I said with the books, if you haven't read them, the book this is based off of is more like a history book, and history is wrote by the winners. So we don't know if everything's fully true or not. So we knew about Sir Eric and Sir Eric, and I got the vibe in the show specifically that Kristen Cole was sending him off because he was like, oh, we're banging. And he knew it was a suicide mission. He knew he would get killed there. He knew he wouldn't make it back. It wasn't some nice thing. Obviously it was mean, but I think there was way more to that motive. But I think that was stupid because I talked about this in my review, I thought everybody already knew. And the brother scene kind of solidified that for me. And I did like their back and forth. But Kristen Cole's on this big Nietzsche kick.
Time is a flat circle.
I said, Nietzsche, shut the fuck up.
He's like, nothing matters, and didn't you see us all get obliterated, and nothing, just kill me then. And he's all like negative and doesn't care about life anymore. But I'm like, why do we need this right now? Once again, you're not going to make me feel bad for Kristen Cole, just like how I'm not going to feel bad for Aegon, the guy who goes to child pit fighting pits where they fight to the death with filed teeth, and he rapes serving girls. I don't feel bad for Aegon, and I don't feel bad for Kristen Cole, and I'm never going to. I wish that they would have been meeting up with Daeron's army or making acknowledgement to it. Because why are we having this conversation right now? What does this achieve? Yeah, we have a whole dinner with the bastards. Rhaenyra's like trying to tell them they got to act right. And like I said, if you're not picking up, we're going to get a vibe that maybe some of these guys ain't so great. And she's explaining to them like, no, you have to be ready for war to go fight and possibly die in like days. That's why I was saying everything I've been saying about this, where I'm like, this is a very concise story. If they make this too long, it's not going to be good. So then we go back to Harrenhal. And this I did like, but some of it I didn't, which was Daemon and Alice having his dreams and having this full-blown vision. Now, let me tell you guys, Robert Baratheon is my favorite character. This is supposed to be Robert Baratheon. I'll put a picture of it up. That's the stag. That's his antlered helm. He's going to be the one to take down the Targaryen Empire, and I love that they had this nod. And then, like I said, this is one of my favorite Targaryens. This is the Three-Eyed Raven. Yes, it's the one with Bran, but his name is Brynden Rivers, and he's a really cool character, and his name is Bloodraven, and he watches you with 1,000 eyes in one, and he's got a crazy birthmark. And we got a book-accurate-looking Brynden Rivers, which was cool. And like I said, that just solidifies to us, and eventually probably to the general audience, that, yes, he's been watching all these major historical things so that when Game of Thrones comes along and people are like, well, how is that a thing? You kind of understand it better. He's an awesome character. And I liked everything they were doing, and I liked him seeing Rhaenyra, and I liked the Daenerys stuff to an extent, but like I keep saying about this, stop trying to remind us of your other show. I can just go watch that show. Stop using it like this. You should have just showed the comet and the eggs. We didn't need the whole thing. That was just total too much to me, because like I said, it makes everybody go, oh, remember Daenerys? Let's watch that instead. And it makes it feel forced. It makes it feel like you have me watching a commercial. Did really like him finally seeing Rhaenyra with the crown on, and he realizes this is the route I need to go. I can't mutiny and take the throne for myself. I need to fight for her. So we get okay, he's going to give this army to her. And then we have that solidified later on in the episode. But the part I liked the most about this was Helena speaking to him in that vision, and then cutting to Helena and Aemond on the castle talking, but she's like turning like she was literally physically just there. This wasn't a vision of her. She was literally there at the same time Daemon was saying that. And that shot was cool. That vision was cool. All of that was really cool. I really liked that a lot. And it just goes to show the audience, like I was saying with Helena, how in tune with this stuff she is. But I would like a little bit more dialogue in the future. But it cuts to her and Aemond One-Eye talking, and he's like, okay, now I'm going to be nice. Will you please come fight? Please get your dragon. Because, like I said, her dragon is extremely formidable. And she straight up tells Aemond, she's like, are you going to burn me like you did Aegon if I don't do what you say? And he's like, I didn't do that. And then she knows, you're lying to me. You're straight lying to me. And now you know that I know that you're lying. She says, I saw it. I saw it. And he knows she's not bullshitting. But what I really liked, and if you know this story, is when she said, Aegon will be king again. Because that can throw some people off. Maybe it doesn't mean that one, but I'm just saying if you know, you know. He sits on a wooden throne. That could mean he's in the carriage at the end of the episode, Aegon II, or is there another Aegon who's a little baby still crawling around on stuff? I think that was a nod to it could be either, but they did mean Aegon II, and they did mean the carriage. Definitely think they wanted us book readers thinking that. The other stuff. But Helena does tell him, you'll be dead. The God's eye will swallow you up. And that's where I thought we were going to end this season, but no. And like I said, this is your finale. We really haven't done nothing. But Rhaenyra decides to go to Harrenhal to check Daemon, but when she gets there, I love Sir Strong. I love him. He's so great because he's the only one that comes out and meets her respectfully, like you should be doing. The Queen is there. The Queen of the Seven Kingdoms is there. They should be out there meeting her, and that's why she's confused, like, what do you mean? This is disrespectful. And it's probably kind of scary because she doesn't know what Daemon wants to do, and she knows he might be up to something. But Sir Strong stays true, and he's like, oh no, I got you. And he also overheard the bullshit that one dude was telling Daemon earlier in the episode. And he's like, oh yeah, well, watch out for this shit. She doesn't know if Daemon's going to use these men and take the throne. She doesn't know if he's going to give her the army. She doesn't know. I did not like how much we were chit-chatting in front of everybody, and we should just got to it. Daemon's speech was fine. It was a cool episode. Like I said, all this stuff is very cool. All this stuff is well acted, but it wasn't hype like The King in the North or anything like that. And if this was episode 6, I could forgive that. This is your finale. And earlier in the episode, you showed us that vision where he changed his mind. So we knew this already. So the speech didn't have the same payoff. But she gets the Rivermen, she gets the army Daemon was building, and it's all good. Now, I really liked the conversation between Alan and Corlys, between Corlys and his bastard, the bald guy. Yeah, I really loved their back and forth. And I loved Alan telling him, you don't know shit, and I don't need you to hand me nothing now. And you can tell that in the beginning of the conversation, Corlys is genuinely trying to give him good advice. He's like, well, you need to be more with the men and more talkative, and he's just like, hey, I've been put into this job, I do this job, and I do it correctly. Like, I don't need you to tell me what to do. And Corlys, you can tell, is genuinely trying to give him good advice. But like I said, by the end of the conversation, he's like, do you know what it was like? Like, do you know what this shit was like? Because fuck you. I loved their back and forth. I really did. And those actors were doing amazing. We have Rhaenyra and Mysaria talking, and we get the Daenerys speech, I felt like, that Jorah gives Daenerys, but this time it's Mysaria telling Rhaenyra, like, no, but actually it's true this time, because I love Daenerys Targaryen, don't get me wrong, but she is a foreign tyrant, like, she is. But, I'm just saying, but Mysaria genuinely means what she's telling Rhaenyra about, you are a good ruler, you're a good person, like, you should do this, and I believe in you, and will believe in you, and these bastards believe in you, and that's what matters more than these royals. It was the same vibe of like, you're good, you're great, we would love for you to take over and make things better and change. Now we got Alicent showing up at Dragonstone, saying dumb shit again. This is what I mean. We've had a lot of talking, we've had a lot of candles, but we haven't had like anything big happen in this finale. Now, Game of Thrones, you can argue the big stuff happened in the episode before the finale, and then the episode of the finale would always be tying things up. But we didn't have that either. Alicent just shows up again after, it's like we already had this conversation when Rhaenyra snuck to you and you're like, whoopsie daisy, and now you're going, and this is what I mean, she's not dumb before, and now she's kind of dumb, like, I screwed up, can we just do whatever? And Rhaenyra's like, no, we can't just do whatever, you dumbass, like, what is wrong with you? I did really love their dialogue of like, when she's like, oh, the uncorruptible queen, and then she's like, well, your virtue, that's your big thing. She's like, yeah, well, you did whatever too, and then she's like, yeah, but I didn't use it as my battle cry, I didn't hide behind it. Alicent's big plan is, let us surrender, I'll open the gates, I'll let you come into King's Landing, you can take the throne with no bloodshed, and it'll all be great. And it's like, you're a dumbass, you know that's not a possibility. And Rhaenyra tells her that. Rhaenyra's like, I have to take Aegon's head, you stupid moron. And I did like Rhaenyra saying, you can't have it all, you can't. But that character never had it all. Alicent was a dope about stuff, but she wasn't a moron. She knew how things worked. But I did like Rhaenyra saying that, like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Yeah, what did you think was going to happen? You could just walk off into the night with your son who usurped the throne? We cut off a dude's head for calling her kids bastards. What do you think we have to do if you take the throne publicly like this and start an entire war where all the small folk are dying and starving in your city? There's no going back now. I also like this when she says history will paint you as a villain, because in the book, Alicent is definitely written more like a conniving snake sneak. But history is wrote by the winners. And Rhaenyra essentially tells her to get out. Now we have a really cool montage before we get the credits. Not a lot of dragons in your dragon show, by the way. Couldn't believe this was the finale. But this montage was really cool. And Alicent's walking out, but by the time she gets to the outside, we get to see the Northmen, the Stark army, crossing the Freys Bridge. And I really liked that. But once again, I feel like all that was smashed in real quick. We talked to Cregan for like 5 seconds and then brought him up like for 1 second later on. And that's it. I'm like, why did you hype up this character if you weren't even going to have him? But seeing the military come south, that was cool. But then we cut over and we see Daemon putting on his armor, and we see Daeron, Alicent's other son that nobody's met yet, flying his dragon over the Hightower army. War is kicking off now, which should have happened 4 episodes ago. But here's something I really need to say. So we have they also show the Lannister. Remember, there's twins. There's one with the military in Westeros, and there's one with the company from the mud fight with the lady on the boats coming over. But stop using the Reigns of Castamere music, because the Reigns of Castamere did not happen yet. Tywin did that. This song does not exist yet. Stop doing that. Stop reminding me of your other show. Oh no, and by the way, Rhaena still hasn't got her dragon. She just walks up and sees it in 10 seconds, and they show it twice of her walking around again. I'm telling you, that was so unnecessary. They were trying too hard to do the sprawling thing when it's like, you could have put a lot of these scenes together and stopped wasting our time. And here's one thing that I don't know if I remember this from the book. I don't know if it happens, but Otto locked up. Where is he locked up at? On a boat? The boat that Corlys, they show Corlys in the montage and the Alan rowing to, or is he under Dragonstone? Where is Otto Hightower locked up at? But Otto's locked up. That's concerning. And we cut to Aegon, the king, running away in the carriage with Fuck-Up-Foot. So they're doing that. They're out of the city, escaping from Aemond because they're afraid of him. And then we cut to Rhaenyra, once again, staring at, well, it's towards King's Landing. I know what you're doing. But the average viewer, because you won't show a goddamn map and see how close these places are, won't know that. So it's just Rhaenyra staring out at the water some more. But that was at least a cool shot. The montage was really cool. It was the getting to the credits part that made me go, what? This was the finale? Now, I love this world. I loved this show. I thought this was really good, but not that great. It's not any greatness. It's fine, but it was a snooze fest. I'm being nice. It was a snooze fest. And George R. R. Martin, I'm going to rant about you in another video. You're an asshole. Shut up. But either way, I'm Abby. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm on OF. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the things down below. But yeah. Things I really liked. The Vision, Helena, but I also don't think that, I think they're trying to stick so hard to like book stuff that they're not, in season 1 this wasn't the case, like they're not fleshing out these characters anymore. Like Alicent's not a moron, Helena shouldn't be a total naive idiot, but you can fix some of these things with just lines of dialogue. I mean, you were having stupid things, like the bastard stuff took way too long to get to in this season as a whole, and it's like, you could have cut part of that down. I didn't need bar talk for 5 minutes, and you could have had some lines of dialogue thrown in throughout it of going, oh yeah, maybe she is that naive, maybe this, maybe that, and these choices these characters make would be more making sense to us. Tell me what you guys thought, because I was not happy, and sorry for being late, but we will not be doing that ever again. We are back on our shit. Oh, and we really might change the channel name. I might change it to like Abby Reviews or something, because this was always supposed to be me and several people, and I don't think that's going to be the case, but anyway, maybe it will be one day, but until then, I think we're going to do a channel name change.